Hi everybody, I'm Laurie Cadden. We are here at the beautiful downtown location of Steamtown Hot Yoga. When I walked in this place, Laura and Lisa, I said I already felt like I was in some kind of a different, took me away, like Calgon, take me away. We are here for our 4th edition this year of the Lackawanna County Medical Society's Public Health Education Series, and what a better way to start the year in January. Talk a little bit about new you, new year, all that kind of stuff, which I hate even saying. I can't even believe I said it. But it's all about being mindful. It's all about using your body in ways that is slow and calm. And that's what yoga does. Instead of all the craziness that everybody does, and hey, to each their own, if you're a runner, if you're whatever, do it. But this is a different kind of thing. Lisa's going to talk a little bit about it. Laura's going to talk, so I'm going to tell you who these beautiful gals are next to me. Over here to my far right, we have Lisa Regau, who is a nurse, a nutritionist. She's also the owner of Healthy Lifestyle Management. She does it all. Lisa and I go way back because we interviewed a couple years ago at TCMC. And then we have the lovely Alexi. Did I say it?
You got it. Yes, you got it.
I love her name. And Laura is the owner of Steamtown Hot Yoga. And Laura, we were talking about, I saw your ad on, it was TV. They came over here because of the freezing weather.
Yes.
And they were saying, okay, this is hot yoga. What's the temperature like when you're doing hot yoga?
We have 2 different types of classes, and one of them, the temperature is about 102,
okay.
And in the second class, it's 99. And I like to tell people, I know they kind of make that same face that you're making, and you're definitely hot, you're definitely sweating, you're noticing that, oh, this is pretty warm for me to be doing this, but you feel so good. And it's not like being sweltering out in the sun. It's not like baking out. It's a different.
Is it warm or a humid kind of
It's
heat?
Humid. It's more of a
so that's
humid
the reason
heat.
You sweat the way you do, but it's all good for you.
Yes.
And I know that they said walking out, people are like, oh my God, we loved being in there today instead of 90-degree weather, right? Because in the cold, it's so much better. But what is the idea? Tell everybody, because I think people, when they think hot yoga, they think, what is the benefit of that? So what is the purpose of making sure you do use the heat to help? I know it's good for your joints and everything else. What's the real focus and purpose of that?
That's such a great question. So thanks for asking such a great question that so many people have. So what we're doing in the hot room with the heat is we're artificially warming the muscles up. So there's less risk of injury because you're already getting warm. Also, a big part of the healing practice of yoga is that it increases blood flow, increases blood circulation. It's called vasodilation. And when you're warmed up and literally in the hot room, that process is accelerated and aided. So that basically means that the benefits that you can get from practicing, let's say, the exact same sequence in a non-heated room, you're going to have accelerated benefits in the hot room. So people like it. I can't say you get instant results. You know, it does take a little bit of time, effort, and energy, but people will find a difference and notice a difference even after just one class.
Now, is that part of the reason why when somebody's in heat, their faces get red? Is that part of that, or is that just blood pressure or something else?
It could be a few different things, right? It depends a little bit on the person. But what you will notice is the more you come to hot yoga, the more you sweat. And people think, well, maybe I'll get used to it and I'll sweat less. But actually what happens...
You want the opposite to happen.
Yes, your glands come into order. And so you're able to cool yourself down and you're able to regulate your body temperature. So when you're in there, you don't want to try to stop sweating. You don't want to wipe away the sweat. We love it. Just sweat.
Let it all hang out.
Let it all drip right out.
Drip out, baby. Okay, so in doing that then, the more you do it, the better it is. Do people then do they have to drink much more because so much is being pushed out of your system?
Yes.
So that's encouraged the whole time you're doing these exercises?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
We encourage you to bring water in with you. The best thing to do is to drink a lot of water ahead of time, but we let you drink during class. If you run out of water during class, you need to get more water. We have a water refill here. We have cold water available for sale here. So we definitely want you to stay hydrated.
And how long has it been since hot yoga has sort of been the thing to do? Like, because I just feel I'm hearing about it more within the last few years. I'm sure in California and everywhere else it's been years before that. But here, what made you decide, hey, I'm going to take a risk and I'm doing this?
Wow. Well, we've been in business now 10 years. And I would definitely say that those first few years, it really was a risk that people who came to class didn't know anything about yoga, cold yoga, hot yoga, who cares what kind of yoga. They didn't really know yoga. They knew fitness. So our first few people said, hey, I heard this is kind of fun and a new workout. Let me try it. And it's been probably in the last 4 years that people have specifically been hearing about hot yoga, the benefits of hot yoga, and come into the studio saying, this is hot yoga. I want to get started. I want to get into this.
Okay, so Lisa, in conjunction to everything we're talking about, and Laura just said, the mindfulness that you practice and that you're able to help people with, to be present, to be more aware from, we said, you're a nurse, you're a nutritionist, from the eating to what your body is telling you, what you're doing. Well, how does this play into some type of an activity like hot yoga to what you believe you need to focus on, the mind and being present? How does that all correlate?
That is truly, that's an excellent question also. Mindfulness, actually, the working definition, and there are a few, but what most mindfulness teachers will tell you is being present and aware deliberately in the moment without criticism or judgment. And that means with your thoughts, your physical sensations, and your emotions. In the practices of mindful eating, which is one of the courses that I teach, the 8-week program, and then also in the 8-week mindfulness-based stress reduction program, one of the practices besides sitting formal meditation, so you're seated, is mindful movement. We don't necessarily use the term yoga. However, if you're on your mat, or even if we're just standing here, you're present in the moment, you become aware. So in postures or poses, there's a need for awareness, and we become present. And there's a term in yoga, which actually it's the definition of yoga, correct? Yoking, which is joining your mind, your body, and your heart or spirit. And that happens in the yoga practice, and that also happens when you're in seated formal practice and meditation. It is mindfulness. If you're on your yoga mat and you're holding a pose, you have to be present. Or if you lose your concentration, which happens for all of us, you might tip over.
Right.
In the moment that you tip over, mindfulness then is created, awareness. An awareness with a capital A. It's full intention of, oh, I fell over. Without criticism or judgment, we right ourselves. And it's a metaphor for life. I mean, it is a metaphor for life. So it's, yes, I'm a sports nutritionist and I was an athlete. And so your mind goes to, oh, this is fitness. But in reality, it has to do with the present moment, mind, body, and heart.
Yeah, I just think it's amazing because when you just said it, like holding a pose, and what do you call that pose where the one foot is up at the knee?
Yes.
What's that called?
Tree posture.
Can you do that?
Quick little,
You're gonna demonstrate
demo.
in a
Here we
little
go.
bit, but-
Look at that, holding the microphone as well. Dun, dun.
Do you know you're very flexible? I love it. I love that. That is, and it is all about stretching your muscles, right? And getting them to
You know
that.
what? It's all about everything. And I just want to put that in because you don't have to be flexible to be successful in a yoga practice. You don't have to touch your toes. You don't have to be able to back bend. You don't have to be able to do anything. And I really say that because we have people come in here with injuries. We've had people come in here. We've had paraplegics come in here.
Wow.
Like people come in here who maybe you might think on the outside can't do a lot of movement, but you can be mindful no
Of
matter
whatever
who you
movement
are
you're doing,
and no matter
yeah.
what your movements are. So within yoga, you're expressing yourself mindfully the best way that you can. Now, we are saying, yes, do this, do that, and you are going to get more flexible.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's what I was going to say, Laura. The more you do, obviously, and you stretch those muscles, the more limber and or flexible you're going to become, right?
Absolutely.
There's no
Yes.
doubt about that.
Yes,
the
there's
more you
no
do it.
doubt about it.
What is the average amount of time per week? How many times is you could say every day, we'd love to hear, but what is a good time frame that if someone said, look, I'm going to commit to this, someone like me who really wants to do this, how long would I notice something if I committed to it?
Yes.
2-3 times a week?
Yep.
I mean, okay.
Twice a week is really the bare minimum. Do we have people who come once a week because of their schedule and all other reasons? Of course. Come in once a week and have fun and be mindful in that time. And that's great. But to really be able to say at the end of a month, at the end of 30 days, at the end of 3 months, to really say, wow, this is what has happened to me. You need that 2 to 3 times a week consistent practice.
And as Lisa was saying, to pull Lisa back in, Lisa, you said without you guys are saying without judgment, to make these things, to be here, make a mistake, fall over a little bit if you lose your focus. But this is a no judgment zone here. People come all different shapes and sizes, all different ways that they can be flexible or not. And it's good. And in a little bit, we're gonna go into the yoga studio and we're gonna show you what it looks like, and a little bit of, you're gonna do a couple demonstrations. But like you said, Lisa, this is, and Laura's saying, okay, it's a couple times a week. And apply that same theory. What your belief is to be in that mindset as much as humanly possible all the time. And let's face it, it's not going to happen all the time. But if you're not meditating, what are little ways that someone could say, let me find some mindful, let me be mindful of what I'm doing? Like we talked, you sit down and you think about when you're eating, where everything came from, and the process it got from the soil to the truck that brought it to where you bought it, or wherever, or you getting your car and going to the farmer's market and buying it. That's the stuff that you need to think about. What does that actually do for us when we do process all of where the food is derived from?
That is a huge question. Well, if I go back just a little bit, just the idea of little bits, so little moments, a lot of the time, brings awareness. And so if you're talking about mindful eating specifically, we call that gratitude on food. So there's a meditation practice that we utilize that is gratitude on our food, going all the way back to the soil, to the microbes, to all of the beings that helped bring that food to us. And in this mindfulness practice, though, like I said before, we're human beings. Our minds wander. They wander. Our mind's job is to think. Mindfulness is not to blank out your mind. That's not what it is. It's to become fully aware of what thoughts are actually crossing your mind, what emotion is happening, so joy, sadness, loneliness. When it comes to eating, many times it's the emotional connection to food that draws us, and that's why mindful eating can be so beneficial. Taking a moment to just be aware of, let's say you're going to prepare food, for example. Mindfulness can start in the preparation, because if we're not mindful and we're chopping food, we're going to lose a digit. Absolutely. And I tell people quite often, you have to be mindful in the practice, actually, of, there's all of these informal practices that we can do, which is preparing food. That's considered an informal practice. The other types of informal practices are actually driving. That's an informal practice. If you're fully aware driving, then you're going to notice what's around you. We have a real issue right now with distracted driving, right? So we can see what the negatives would be. The same thing, some of the informal practices that we suggest for some people are just brushing your teeth in the morning. Notice what it feels like, the water in your mouth, the actual minty flavor. Maybe when you take a breath in, you sense some coolness. They're just moments of awareness. The more often that you have moments of awareness, the more that you can be connected to your life. And the more you can be connected to your life, it's a better life well lived. That's what we're trying to do, reduce stress. And there's so many different things. I use the shower as an informal practice, but I'm terrible in the shower. So it's, I don't know if anybody wants to follow my example, because I'm usually having a meeting in the shower, thinking about all the different things. And then I recognize, oh, wait a minute. Oh, the warm water. It's rolling down my back. I need to really be present here. So it can happen and show up whether you're in mindful movement, whether you're seated in formal practice, whether you're taking a walk down the street, or if you're eating. It really connects us to who we are in an authentic way to get close, really close up to who we are. We have to meet edges. So you were asking about stretching poses. They're often in mindfulness practice and mindfulness-based stress reduction. We work with people who have been injured, they're in a wheelchair, they're using a cane or walker. Mindfulness-based stress reduction oftentimes is for people in physical pain or emotional pain, as well as anxiety and depression and so forth. But people come to it and we just remind them, listen to your body. We might be guiding, but go to your edge without stepping over to harm yourself, because in that is self-compassion and self-care. And the whole purpose is to kindly care for ourselves. The kinder we can be to ourselves, the kinder we can be to everybody else.
right.
And it brings a society in, it's not Pollyanna, because it doesn't happen all the time. We all get mad and upset, but it's how we meet ourselves in order to meet others.
I just like this whole thing, and it might be because I'm 56 and I have done every roller coaster diet and exercise craze and crazy running, and as I've gotten older, I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to be so crazy. I mean, I am crazy in general, and I love to be busy and run around. I'm not saying that. That's who I am. But the beating yourself up and driving your body hard and pushing I do that enough just getting everywhere I have to go. To the exercise part, it's like I would stop doing what I was doing, think, what did I just do? I just added more stress and craziness to an already stressful, crazy life. So this stuff makes me feel better because I feel like it's being much more gentle and kind. And also the mindful way of eating, Lisa, because everything this is off limits, that's off limits. I mean, I have celiac, so I can't, I can't have gluten anymore. But the other restrictions, that's because I have a disease, I can't do it. But the restrictions of saying you're not going to do this, unless it's for some reason, is crazy to me anymore. Like if you're eating what you're mindful of putting in, everything should be available to you in some type of moderation where you're thinking about it. Is that not true, or am I way off on that?
No, that's correct. I mean, if you come and you're looking at it in a mindful perspective for mindful eating, if you have a diagnosis, you know that if you were to eat something that had gluten in it, your body would say, this doesn't feel good.
Right.
So automatically your body is giving you some recognition. And in that awareness, you say, okay, then I can't have wheat bread, for example. It is so important to really recognize that if we put everything off limits, or if we have it in categories of this, you can't ever have the shouldn'ts, the wouldn'ts, the can'ts, automatically that's thought. And when we get into thought, that was what we call the inner critic. And the moment that begins to happen is there's guilt and shame. For women, now I have men in mindful eating classes, but it's primarily women. And the thing is, it becomes this inner critic that drives. And shame and guilt just really drag us away from our authentic self and what's helpful for us. For myself, if I were to eat something that my body, if I went and had pizza and wings, the next day, my body would really not feel well. I'd have bloating and I'd have cramping and I wouldn't feel great. I'm aware of that. It's not because I can't have pizza and wings, it's that I choose not to, because with awareness, I recognize my body doesn't feel great. So it just comes down to experimenting in your own life, recognizing what actually is helpful for you, and then utilizing that in a way that's kind and compassionate without criticism and judgment is the hardest part of that definition, no doubt.
And we grew up with that. I mean, women, it is worse. I'm sorry, guys, I know you're out there, and I know you think that way, but women just grew up with that, and our mothers were, like my mother, who's 80 years old, Ann Cadden, and she just, every diet and everything, and then she didn't, and then she did, and that's what you grow when you're little and you see that. That's why I say, thank God I have 2 boys, because they didn't have to see the craziness of that. But it is what we do to ourselves. So this kind of stuff is so much better. We're going to go in to the studio and show a few demonstrations. Laura, and who's joining you? Marlena. She's going to do that. So stay tuned. We're going to go into the yoga room. We are here in the yoga room. We're going to show you what our friend Marlena can do, right, Laura? A couple things we're going to demonstrate. Yes. Well, Marlena's going to demonstrate.
Yes.
And so that you can get a little bit of an idea of what some of these moves are. Some common ones, and some maybe that everyone never heard of. What do you think?
That sounds great. That sounds great.
So what do you think? Marlena, wave, everybody. Hi. So go ahead. What do you want to do first with our
Marlena,
friend?
I thought you would start with a little bit of upward facing dog, downward facing dog, maybe even getting started and going into that from some of our vinyasa. She's just going to go through a basic sequence, and what she's working on is when we talk about mindfulness, it's hard to tell from here, but she is connecting every movement to a breath so that nothing's feeling choppy. She's just taking her time, going slowly. This is a basic sequence that helps to bring mindfulness, to bring breath. It helps to bring flexibility. She makes this look very easy and very flawless, but I want you to know that there's always modifications for all sorts of things, so that if you have knee injury, if you have a shoulder injury, there's always something that can be done. A lot of yoga works on spinal flexibility and bringing movement of the spine. We all know what it's like just when you sleep funny and you kink your neck, right? So a lot of things are here to help us bring a smoothness, a connection. As she goes through all these things, she really needs to find that connection from the toes to the fingertips to the crown of her head to all areas. Marlena, perhaps next you could do some of our spinal work. Some common postures in yoga are postures called cobra posture and bow posture. So she's gonna get onto the floor next. When we do a class, we do about half the class, a little more than half the class standing, doing standing, some balancing, and then we move on to the floor. And she's gonna move into some of our to surprise us here. So here she is, she's in our locust, where we really work on lifting the body up against gravity here, because I always tell the students we should be able to move our bodies against gravity. You know, we should have command of that. We should have awareness of that. She's coming into the floor bow right here, which is a very common posture that you'll see. Now, this is a great example. Sometimes people are not able to grab their feet, and at that point, we can get them some kind of strap or some kind of towel, and instead of grabbing they go with that. So there's always an option. And Marlena, maybe you can wow us with a little bit of back bending, or like a little bit of camel pose, or She's a beautiful standing back bend. Yes, do our standing pose. Beautiful. Look at her. She's getting into it now. Perfect. Yes, we would love that. Marlena is one of our instructors. We actually have about 10 instructors here. So she's going for backward bending.
Look at how neat it looks in the shadow too, Mark. I'm sure you see that. It's so cool.
And now she's going to move into some of our balancing postures. And this is our standing bow. And again, not everybody can grab the foot. Not everybody's going to go to the fullest extent that she's going, but we can all do a little bit of something. That's the beauty of yoga. Everybody can do a little bit of it, and it's no impact on the joints. What's really wonderful is even in doing this practice, she's starting to get her heartbeat up a little bit. She's becoming more aware of herself, and she's doing that without any impact on the joints. And that's why it can be so helpful for people with meniscus issues and joint issues and chronic pain, because we're not bringing any extra jostling into the body.
Marlena, do you have a pretend bench there that was holding your leg up? An invisible bench? Oh my God, I love you. I love it. I love it. Now, Marlena, do as what did I say when I walked in?
Tree posture.
Yeah, do that. But remember, I said we're going to do this.
Should we all do it together?
Doing a downward dog style. Will you just do a base? I know you did that, but just how does one start if they're in that position, a downward dog?
To go into
like how do you do that?
How do we get into downward dog? We like to get into downward dog from a flow. So there's two different ways we do it in our class. So when we reach up and we fold forward, just
and
a
then
nice gentle way, you're just going to step back into it. Now, if you saw me earlier,
you
I
jumped
back into it, but to start, you just want to step back. You want your feet and your hands hip distance apart. You're really lengthening the spine here. Some people might have to bend their knees to do that. And then we work to straighten the legs, and your heels might be off the floor, but really we're working to press those heels down.
And the other thing I noticed is how much the toes are used in yoga.
I love that you noticed that, because I spend hours of talk time trying to remind my students of how active to keep their feet and their toes in this practice, and you saw that right away.
But that's because I'm being mindful of what we're talking about. But seriously, it's amazing. And honey, you did one. Do the other one. What's it called? The tree?
Oh yes, do the tree pop. And she's gonna wow you. Go from tree into toe stand. She's gonna even do a little bit more here.
Mark.
This will be the time I fall over.
No, you'll be fine. Oh my God.
So she's moved from tree posture standing into toe stand.
Unbelievable.
Look at that, a smile and everything.
I love it. Oh my God, the flexibility. I love it. How many years have you been doing this?
I've been practicing hot yoga. It'll be 3 years in May, and I've been an instructor. It'll be 2 years in June. So I really just jumped right in. And I told Laura I love this.
How old are you, Marlene?
I'm 29.
Yeah, so you're young. You're a young chick. But anybody can do it.
Yes, absolutely.
Age doesn't matter.
There's no age in the yoga room. There's no age in the yoga room. We don't recommend a hot practice for younger students.
Okay.
There's yoga for all ages. A hot practice we don't recommend for under 18, simply because when you're younger, you don't have the developed sweat glands to cool you off. So I just want to put that out there, that there are other places and other non-heated yogas if you're under 18 looking for something, but there is a yoga for all ages,
And yours
all
is
levels.
all hot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So Lisa, tell the folks before we end, what's your belief in this practice, this mindful way of exercising your body? Obviously, it works. But just give a little, because Laura, she loves this thing. You could tell, they live it. From your standpoint, this is incredible, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Any type of mindful movement practice, no matter what age you are, no matter what level you are, brings awareness in every single movement. Had Marlena not been able to stay focused, again, she would have she'd topple over. Yeah, and so the benefit is truly coming into awareness, to be present with yourself moment to moment. And again, like we were talking about before, if there's judgment or criticism, that's okay, that's part of who we are. But recognizing it to bring us back, to allow us to come into a more compassionate and kind way with ourselves, you could see that in time, you would be able to stretch, bend, move to your own limit, your own edge.
And not beat yourself up because you can't do the exact thing as that one over there, that limber body there.
Exactly. It's your own practice.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, folks, we hope you liked all this. I don't know how you couldn't with these three gals. Information that will help you make some nice decisions and be much more gentle on yourself going forward. So I'd like to thank Marlena. Thank you. So, what's your last name, honey, if you want?
It's Marlena Ruminski.
Okay, thank you very much, and you're very good. And you're an instructor here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, good girl. And then we have Lisa Regau, who is I'm going to get it right here, Lisa, the owner of Healthy Lifestyle Management, but she's also a nurse, and she's a nutritionist. She does it all. And then we have Laura Alexiou.
Yes.
Did I say? I keep doing Alexiou, and she is the owner of this fabulous place, and we know you love it.
Yes.
So thank you so much. This has been so cool. I promise you I'm coming. One of these days you're going to see me. I'm going to try it.
We'll be ready.
I'm going to try. Okay. So thank you so much for watching. And again, thanks and Happy New Year. We will see you real soon. This has been our 4th edition of Lackawanna County Medical Society's Public Health Education Series, and it is sponsored in part by CHS. Thanks for watching, everybody.